Welcome back to Unrendered. My guest on the program is the Honorable Glen Beache, the current Minister of Tourism in the ULP administration. Honorable Glen Beache, welcome to Unrendered.
Thank you very much.
Before we start to get into politics and your role as Minister of Tourism, just want you to tell our viewers a bit about your early life. Not when you were a baby, but some of your early exploits. For example, you were a track and field athlete of some substance.
Yes.
What were your early exploits there?
Represented St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the St. Vincent Boys Grammar School in track and field, specifically the 100 meter, 200 meters, at times the 400 meters, 4x1, 4x4. Represented the nation at the Windward Islands Inter-Secondary School Games. Should have attended Carifta also, and represented St. Vincent and the Grenadines in France. I can't remember the name of those games. So, yeah, I did quite a bit of track and field. That was my main forte in sports, so to speak.
So do you still keep yourself fit and trim, and you still have a keen interest in athletics?
I still have a keen interest in athletics. I wouldn't say that I keep myself fit and trim as I should be. I'm thankful I've been blessed with certain genes, especially from my father's side, that keeps me trim and slim, so to speak. But no, I wouldn't say I'm the health buff, even though I really should be.
Okay. Now tell me about your tertiary education, rather. Where did you study, and what field of study did you undertake?
Did quite a bit of studying after secondary school, which is surprising to many, because I wasn't the best student coming up through primary and secondary school, but I guess everybody develops at their own rate. Attended Humber College and York University.
This is in Canada?
This is in Canada, in Toronto, Canada, in which I completed a degree in public relations and marketing. After that, I did a second degree at Carleton University in mass communications, majoring in mass communications, minoring in political science. Went to Taiwan for a while, received a certificate in Mandarin. And,
so you speak Mandarin?
I used to speak a bit of it. You know, the
lost practice.
Yeah, you know, the saying goes, what you don't use, you lose.
Okay.
And so I've lost a lot of it. The basic stuff I know, but to say I'm fluent or anything like that, I won't lie and tell you. And then did my master's at the University of London in England in social and public policy and administration, specializing in health policy and educational policy.
So you are now in politics, and I think you entered at an early age. What age was that exactly?
I would say, well, running, when I actually ran, at the age of 35.
Okay, you were the youngest to have entered the stage of politics. I think people like Ken Brown, actually younger than you when he ran for the Labour Party.
I'm not sure. I think I was the youngest to actually be elected, but I'm not sure. I'm subject to correction. I'm really not sure.
Anyway, tell our viewers what got you into politics. Was it because you felt that you were an heir to your father's political throne?
Well, I don't consider it. I wouldn't say my father has a political throne. I think my father is well respected in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a politician and as a statesman. Always had the interest to give back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I basically grew up between here and Canada. Always had the interest to give back to the country. I was called upon and I entered. Growing up, though, I wouldn't say that I was the biggest fan of politics. I thought that a lot of it was not conducted in the way I would have liked to have seen it being conducted. But I entered it, and I think I've done a fairly good job in being the minister.
Speaking about doing a good job, you became parliamentary representative for South Windward.
Yes.
This traditionally is a Labour stronghold, and you came out with flying colours. You had a huge 1,200 vote margin, I think, 1,200 plus vote margin on your opponent. So you came in with a lot of backbone.
Yes.
How have you seen yourself as a constituency representative for that area?
You know, if I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't say that I've been a great representative.
Why?
Well, it depends on the context in which you look at a representative. If you look at the context of being a representative as somebody that you see every week, and constantly, then no, I haven't been a great representative. If you look at the concept of being a good representative as somebody who has represented the constituency and you've seen developments and progress in the constituency, I say yes. But I think the way it's done right now, most people look at a good or great representative as being someone who you see constantly, and that has not been me.
So you think you have achieved some things in your constituency
Definitely,
in terms of developmental
without
areas?
a doubt.
What
Without
are
a
they?
doubt.
What would you
I mean, you
highlight
look at,
as
for
some?
example, we've just gone out to tender for the Hospitality and Marine Institute, which will be placed in Diamond. Carrying electricity and water to a lot of people in Diamond, the Diamond estate. A brand new health care clinic that's being built in Stubbs, repairs to the Stubbs police station, many roads throughout the constituency. I always describe South Windward as the most progressive constituency in the country, and all you have to do is look at the number of projects. The Raraku project, which is a tourism project, the international airport, while that's not me directly, it has been put there under my watch. Under my watch. The Peruvian Vale Argyle Primary School, of which, you know, that primary school, as much as it hasn't had an official opening yet, is the first primary school in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to have a preschool in it.
Okay.
You know, which is quite significant. That new hard court in Baraboo, which is only second to the one in Annis Vale, the village road in Simon, and those are just a few things to name. So yes, development has taken place. Yes, employment has improved in South Windward. So in terms of that, yeah, I think I've done a fairly good job. But I also don't think it's fair for me to judge it. I think you'll have to speak to the people of South Windward to see if they're satisfied with it.
Well, that will be tested, I suppose, when the next candidate runs in the next general election, because a lot of your legacy would obviously rub off on the next candidate. We'll address you not being in the race for the next elections later on in the program.
Okay.
Now, let's stick with your constituency. My hometown is Baraboo, and I'm a bit saddened by the way the little shopping center in Baraboo at the bridge, in the vicinity of the bridge, has become really derelict, run down. And is this because of harsh economic realities, or is it because Kingstown is such a central point now for commerce that all these rural shopping centers become unsustainable? What is your opinion?
I think there are a number of reasons. I agree with you in terms of Kingstown being so centralized. I think part of it also is that people prefer to come into Kingstown. A lot of times, even sometimes when you can get stuff in your community, a lot of people like the idea of coming into Kingstown. But it's a combination of things. I do think hard economic times. As on the Windward side, I think with the closing of the sugar factory in the past, I think that has affected the Windward side. But I think you'll see improvements. I think the international airport at Argyle, you'll see a lot of things coming into that area, especially in the surrounding area of the Argyle International Airport. If you travel out there, you'll see, for example, in Peruvian Vale, a brand new gas station.
That's just been opened.
Just been opened,
right.
Opened out there. And so I think you're going to see, with the coming of the international airport, a lot more activity taking place in those areas. And God willing, once the cross-country road is finished, I think it will open up a lot of different things. But I think part of it also is trying to decentralize, not only the private sector, but the government also, so that you don't have to come into Kingstown for everything. But of course, that's an expensive proposition in terms of trying, because employ people to do these certain things, put certain strategic things in place. Right. So it will take some time, but I think Argyle International Airport will definitely help the situation.
When I drive through your constituency, and just to remind the viewers, it's South Windward, and the boundaries are from like about Stubbs?
Diamond, the bridge at Diamond, right after.
And it extends to?
South Union.
South Union,
yes. Right.
And your constituency is not dissimilar to a lot of the other rural constituencies in terms of what I observe. In the middle of the day, there are a lot of people sitting on the block, a lot of guys seemingly having nothing to do. What's up there? What's going on? These are young guys who should be at work, either in an office or should be farming, there's little or nothing that drives them into action.
I think part of it is how things have been done in the past. I think what you've seen take place since 2001 with my government taking office is a push for education, a push for poverty alleviation. Now, all of these things, as much as you do them, they're going to take a bit of time to build up steam. You know, and with all the people we're educating right now, I think you'll see a difference in that. But I also think with many of the projects that we're doing in the rural communities, the low-income housing, decentralizing healthcare, so that you don't always have to go to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital.
Right.
I think all of these things will show people that you know there is room for employment and so on. But I also think that part of it has to be people willing to work. And I think the majority of Vincentians are willing to work. But it's making sure that we have them qualified to take up these jobs. And part of the reason we're putting up the Hospitality and Marine Institute is to make sure that we train them for these new jobs that are going to be coming.
So you're saying better days are coming, essentially?
Better days are coming and better days have been had. I think if you look at the statistics from 2001, I think you would see employment has increased. The unemployment rate has gone down. I think poverty alleviation has been one of our mainstays, and I think we've done a tremendous job for that. Not to say that we've been perfect. There's always room for improvement.
But there'll be those who would argue that statistics would show, your statistics would show that employment has gone up. But there are people who would argue that it's certainly not having an impact on the way the economy feels. Is that feel-good factor about the economy? You can present as many statistics as you want, but how do people feel about the economy? And that, certainly by my senses, is on the negative side.
But I think people also have to be realistic. Listen, what's taking place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines right now is no different to what's taking place anywhere in the world. There's a financial crisis globally around the world. I think what has taken place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the rest of the Caribbean is that global crisis has taken a while to reach the Caribbean, and so now we're feeling the full effects of it. But it's no different to what's taking place in the world. And I think we're one of the few countries in the Caribbean that we don't have to take a loan to pay salaries. Many of the so-called countries that are wealthier than us and are considered to be more developed than us have had to take loans. We've been holding our own with that. And we have not unemployed. We have not let go of anybody.
Yes.
Even within my own industry, the tourism industry, a lot of the hoteliers have taken it where they've put people on shift.
Yes.
And that's because we've given them the incentives to make sure that this is done.
You know, we have to go to a break, but I must tell you that what you mentioned about not having to borrow money to pay salaries and having to lay off people, there are your detractors who would say that that's a bubble waiting to burst. Anyway, let's go to a break. You're looking at Unrendered. My guest is the Honorable Glen Beache. More with Glen Beache when we come back.